Had a great cold call this morning. Brand new company. I probably tried to reach them 3 or 4 times, never had any success getting through to them. And today I finally got the decision maker on the phone. And now I just want to speak about how to become better at sales because there is nuance to sales. Sales is both a science and an art form. It is this beautiful mixture of both, where the science comes down to the math, where the more calls that you make, the more opportunities you're going to open up. And then the art form comes to how do you open up more opportunities on the calls that you are making? Because there will always be about 20% that will buy what you're offering. You're going to reach 20% of people and they are looking for exactly what you have to offer. Now, on the flip side, there's 20% of people who will never buy what you have to offer. They're either not in the market space or they're just never going to break from their current relationships. And then there's that middle 60%, which is left up to the salesperson and the art form. You have 20% that comes from just the science, just from making the calls. And then you've got this 60% that comes from the art of sales, the absolute beautiful art of sales and the nuance. And then it's not about tactics, it's about how you are as a person, how well you speak, what you convey, how you ask questions, and how you direct and deflect and rebuttal to objections. And this is just how you get better at sales. And there's only one way to get better at sales, and it's through the science. I have read what I would believe to be many, many sales books, a lot of sales books, more than the average salesperson for sure. And they all say similar things, but the only thing that you can do to actually get better at sales, you can read about it all you want. But if you don't implement any of the knowledge that you gain, if you don't actually use it, you're never going to improve. And the only way to use it is to write things down in front of you so that when somebody objects to a line, or you can look to see what you should say to that. Because if you don't have it written down in front of you, you will go back to what is instinctual for you, which is typically to say, okay, and to avoid confrontation, depending on who you are as a person. If you enjoy confrontation, then you're going to be mean. You're going to fight them immediately. But I had to train myself on ways of nuance and to get better at sales. And the only way that I could do that was by making the calls. For example, today, I still work in logistics, of course, guys. I'm always going to work in logistics. And I called up a shipper and they tell me that they're not currently looking for somebody. Now, I have changed my pitch to battle that before they ever say anything. And the way that I do that is very non-pressure. And if and when you are ever looking for somebody, I just wanted to know who to be in front of or should have my information. And then we get into this kind of relaxed conversation because I'm not here to sell you today. I'm here for when you have a need because I already know that you do this thing. I already know that you're moving freight. When you have a need or a want to look at additional or new brokers to work with, I'll be here. I just want you to have my information. And it gets into starting a conversation. And when people say, we have 3 companies that we currently work with, I go, that's wonderful. Or I don't say anything at all. Here is the big secret that I've found has been working for me. And it is remaining silent because I don't need to fill awkward space. Salespeople should not fill awkward space. I know that in the world, there are, what's the word I'm looking for here? The idea is that salespeople constantly speak and fill the air. If you don't, it's a battle of who feels awkward. And when that happens, someone will fill the air. And you do not want that to be you as the salesperson. When somebody today said, we have 3 brokers that we currently work with, I stayed silent. And then they said, well, actually, one of them just went out of business recently and we're kind of hesitant to bring on any further because we were left paying the bill. And this is something that I've been speaking about recently to prospects and customers. And now it's actually coming to light. When brokerages close, if they have not paid their carriers, now those carriers can go to the actual shipper to get their payment. as long as the carrier has filed through the broker's bond and a few other things. There's a little bit that comes to it legally that I don't know everything for yet, and I hope that I never do because I hope that I'm never going to go out of business. But this is something that I have spoken about. And when she said that, it opened up a little nugget. Now you're down to 2 brokers. And oh my gosh, this and that, the other thing. And what that tells me is that there's opportunity opening up. One of her fears, one of the issues that they're currently dealing with is that they are now down to 2 brokers opposed to 3. They have lanes that are probably going without coverage or that they've had to now open up to their other brokers who may have not had them prior, which means that they are now free game for all brokers, is what I would think. And as long as you have good credit standing, which we do, and as long as you can prove it, which I can, we are going to have a chance here because I didn't put any pressure on her and I made it known that I know what she's talking about. That is one of the things that I believe helps you to get better at sales. Number one, to get better at sales, you just need to put in the work. You actually need to make the calls. You need to send the emails. You need to receive the direct feedback. And your feedback, it doesn't always have to be words. If your emails go unanswered, that is feedback. That means that your emails were not interesting enough to pull their attention, and it means that they were not conveying enough for them to actually send you a response. If your cold calls get you hung up on, it's either because they're not of interest, they don't purchase your product, or what you said doesn't interest them at all. Now, it depends on where you are in what you say, because I've been hung up on when I've said, this is Adam with Patterson Logistics. Boom, hang up. That means that they probably received too many sales calls that day or that week or what have you. Call them back another time. You need to get an actual answer. There are some things that are not answers. If somebody says, oh, we work with somebody else right now, that doesn't mean anything. That's a deflection trying to get you off of the phone. And that I just work right past. You just ignore that the same way that they're trying to ignore you. And I'm not saying be pushy with people. I'm just saying respond in kind. Give the same energy that you are receiving in sales. If somebody picks up the phone and you're very kind and gentle, and then they hit you back with aggression or a deflection, you can choose to be aggressive right back or deflect it. And you don't have to necessarily take everything that they say to you for word value. If somebody says, we're currently working with somebody else, of course they are. Everybody is. If they are moving freight, that's why you're calling them, because you want to take over moving their freight, or you want to be a supplement to whomever's moving their freight. And that is the point. That just tells you that they're a good prospect and you're actually calling in your target market. To get better at sales, I want to sum this up. To get better at sales, you need to put in the work. You can read about it. You can gain as much knowledge as you can. You can watch all the YouTube videos that you can. But the only way that it's actually going to do anything for you is if you make the calls and you make the changes yourself. You need to have things written down on paper that you can refer back to, especially if you're putting in a new practice or a new tactic or a new answer to an objection. Write it down on paper, or else you're going to instinctually go back to what has not been working. And you want to work. You want it to change. And therefore, you need to be reminded of it right in front of you. Write it on paper. I have sticky notes all over my computer screen for objections that I had heard that I did not my rebuttal to and that did not work. And now I have ways past things and I leave them up so that I can refer back to them. And if they don't work, I write something new, I put it up, and I try again. Always be refining, always be iterating, but most importantly, do the work.